Hello and welcome to Connecting with the Stars. I'm here with the amazing Paula Esteria, who is an exopolitician, an artist, actress, designer. It's good to see you today. How are you?
It's great to see you too, Mary. I'm doing great. I've just been basically getting ready for a lot of conferences coming up here in the next year. I think I have a conference booked basically every month. So it's been a lot of work getting that together. And I've just finished up my latest collection of shaman spears over here. So that's been a lot of work. I'm excited to finally have those up online.
Well, those are
And
so beautiful. I mean, we'll talk about them maybe at the end, or what I'd like to do is, well, first of all, I love having you on CAN here today. We met at Mount Shasta last summer and connected, and you are such a bright star in this modern day. It's just unbelievable what you've accomplished. Really thrilled to be a friend and have met you because you are really at the forefront. You are a pioneer on so many levels. So this is going to be a really fun time today. First, I'd like to read your bio, and then we can dive in with whatever you'd like to say in your presentation and talk about all the amazing gifts you have and what you've done so far. So Apala is a lifelong research in the field of ufology. She began her studies with an interest in lost civilizations and forbidden archaeology, which led her to understand the clear presence of ancient aliens in humanity, past and prehistory. She became involved in activism in the UFO community around 2012 and has appeared as an MC, panelist, and speaker at several events. She vends her invention, Shaman Spheres, which she just showed you a second ago, uniquely handcrafted energy channeling devices at these events as well. Apala has had several UFO contact experiences and considers herself a pioneer in the human consciousness shift movement, working with the UFO community to bring about full disclosure. Apala is a reporter for UFO News Network, Third Phase of Moon. She has also started her own YouTube channel called Apala's Odyssey and is a regular guest on many popular disclosure influencers channels. As a reporter, Paula has been interviewing the likes of secret space program whistleblowers, investigative journalists, astronauts, and various speakers in the UFO community. Paula has visited several ancient sites for her research, including Machu Picchu, Koba pyramids, and Egypt. Some events she has been involved in are LA Conscious Life Expo, International Symposium of Quantum Consciousness and Healing, and Contact in the Desert, and Alien Con. So, wow, you have been a busy girl. So anyway, just unbelievable. I was like, oh my God, how have you packed all this on? I just, first of all, I love your energy. I love your inner and outer beauty, and you really are 1,000% here to help heal and transmit energy in such a unique way. You're really something else. You're really one of a kind that's igniting this planet, and I can't wait to watch you over the next few decades.
Wow, thank you so much. I mean, that means so much to me coming from you, and it's so great to be on your show today. You know, basically this presentation that I'm about to give right now, Solutions for Humanity, it's something that's kind of been evolving for the past 5-6 years, I think now. I started going to these conferences. I think my first UFO conference was Contact in the Desert about 7-8 years ago. And I just kind of immediately, because I've been reading books from authors in this community, and I've been, I've had a lot of my own experiences, and I've been a major researcher on forbidden archaeology and, ufology and the like. It's basically been something that I just kind of jumped right into it and started speaking at conferences because I think a lot of it had to do with my travels and everything. Someone one time asked me if I could go do a presentation on my trip to Egypt. And I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm really quite qualified to start speaking at these yet. And they're like, no, go ahead. You know what you're talking about. I know all the research you do. Just get into it. So it's really interesting because this presentation that I started giving, Solutions for Humanity, was actually originally supposed to be about the pyramids and how they may have been used at one time. And I originally wanted to make the presentation on restoring the pyramids around the planet because I believe at one point the pyramids all around the planet were used as this sort of like global energy grid that was like free energy that everyone on the planet could use, either by an ancient civilization or, maybe some sort of ancient alien race. So, I thought it'd be really interesting to make a whole presentation on this. So I started getting that together. I think it was about 5, 6 years ago. And as I was getting it together, I started realizing, this is an amazing solution for humanity, but there's also so many other incredible solutions for humanity that I feel not a lot of people know about. And it's really interesting because I started gathering these together and I started presenting them, and it's really evolved over the years. I go from, the importance of full disclosure to circular communities, vertical gardens, and a lot of it is very kind of design related, which, I know you ended up coming out to my presentation in Mount Shasta, and I know that's right up your alley there. But I just thought it was really important to get this information out there in regards to what it is that we can collectively manifest together, because how are we supposed to manifest a future together if we don't have a visual representation of what exactly it is we want? And I think that's, what the key is here. And I think it's something that is kind of missing, in the media and everything. It's like we're not really being shown what is possible. It's more like we're just being shown all the problems in the world, and we're not being shown like, wait, here are the solutions that we actually have. So my presentation is usually a little around an hour or so long. So I can just pull up the slides here and kind of skip around and go through different areas in it, if that sounds good to you.
That sounds great for me. But the one thing we do have in common is this huge passion for art, and because we're both artists, we're both designers. I went to Presidio Graduate School. Sustainability, everything is really about energy and sustainability and all those problems. And we are problem solvers and we're curious women. And a lot of people don't see the big picture. And we want to probably and really create an umbrella of all those individual areas where that we can really help problem solve, because it's massive. It's not just population, but it's also the communication and disclosure, and with the ETs down the road, of how we can work together in harmony to build these habitats that I've been doing off planet too for a couple of decades. So anyway, I can't wait to see this. So let's, I guess we need to share our screen here.
Okay. Yeah, I believe I need to share it on my end. So I got this right here. And let me know if it stops recording. All right.
Perfect.
It's good. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically this is the presentation I've been giving over the years. And as I was saying, it really has evolved so much over the years from what it was originally. I'm always kind of adding more. I just added a whole new portion to it that I've been getting into the last couple years here, and that is space habitats, as you just mentioned, Mary. And I think that's really one of the most interesting parts of it to me. But I've been working on a book actually on my presentation material, and I hope to have it out by the end of this year. So I'm really excited about that. So like I said, I like to make this very visual because I feel that, it's important for us to see what solutions we have so that, if there's a visual representation of it, it makes it easier to manifest or bring into the collective consciousness. So I always like to start out with that it's really important to do what's right for you and follow your heart and know yourself, because if you're not doing what's right for you, you aren't doing what's right for anyone else. I always like to start out with that because I feel that that's very important. I'll basically kind of skip through some of this here, but some things I like to talk about in here is gift exchange society. This isn't talking about, socialism or, these different kinds of isms. It's more like the idea of the power of the gift, which there's a really interesting book on it called economy. And I highly recommend looking into that because it actually gets into the importance or the power of the gift. And it's not exactly like a barter exchange society, but more everyone kind of bringing their skills and their gifts to the world, and kind of, you know, like different ways that this could look is maybe just in your community, one of the neighbors watches all the neighbors' kids. Someone else in your community, everyone in the community is maybe growing vegetables and they're sharing with everyone else in the community. You know, so these are different examples of things that we can be doing to have a more gift exchange society or a gift giving society. Another aspect of this that I get into that I feel is very important, probably one of the most important solutions for humanity, is disclosure activism, or, you know, coming into full disclosure. Because basically, you know, all these technologies have been suppressed for a very long time now. And some of these technologies, such as free energy technology and technology that has to do with healthcare, which maybe I'll get into a little more later, that has to do with like frequency and light technology, and also spacefaring kind of technologies that are being suppressed from us. You know, all of our tax-paying dollars are going into these programs, these like kind of black budget programs, and we're not really seeing these technologies that could really bring humanity to a whole different level. And, you know, this, it's already out there. And I think part of this has to do with, you know, part of the reason for the secrecy, I guess, is that maybe some of these technologies could be dangerous if used in the wrong way. So I think there's kind of been this sort of soft disclosure program going on where, you know, our government is either, you know, either there's a cover up or there's kind of like a slow reveal, because, you know, this is something that has to be done the right way or done properly, which I can understand. So, you know, this is something that we're kind of dealing with right now. And I really feel that, you know, if some of these technologies start being released, then we're going to just skyrocket to a whole different level than we're at right now on the planet. So one thing that we can start getting into with this when it comes to becoming a spacefaring civilization is asteroid mining. I feel that that's a major solution for humanity because there are many rare earth resources on all the asteroids just right or near us in the asteroid belt, like that are very close to our planet. And if we start going out and mining these asteroids, we can get a lot of these resources that we've been needing very badly for our own planet. And I actually have a friend named Brooks Agnew who wrote a book on asteroid mining, and he really lays out how we could do this and how it would be possible. But just a little fact here, I believe there is one asteroid nearby us that is worth, just one asteroid that has, I believe it was $10 quadrillion worth of rare earth resources on it. And so like I was saying about the original reason why I wanted to start my Solutions for Humanity presentation, which was restoring the global energy grid, or the pyramids. So I think the research that really got me into the uses of the pyramids, or the supposed ancient uses of the pyramids, was my friend Larry Dean Hunter, who's a major archaeologist and has been doing a lot of work down in Egypt, you know, uncovering, he's been working actually under the pall of the Sphinx, uncovering some really interesting things. But I've seen a lot of his presentations at different conferences over the years, and one thing that I find really fascinating that he always talks about is that he believes that the pyramids were almost used as like solar panels in a way, especially like the pyramids in Egypt. At one point, they were sided in white limestone, and the sides of them, there is actually a slight indentation where they're not actually four-sided, they're eight-sided. And the ratio of the indentation on each side of the pyramid is basically, so the solar panel fields outside Vegas, the engineers were having problems with the mirrors and the solar panels exploding, and they contacted him about this, and he sent them the ratio of the indentation that's on the sides of the pyramids to the people that were working on these solar panel fields, and they implemented it into their designs, and the solar panels stopped exploding. So he actually feels that these pyramids were used as sort of like solar panel technology, but also like, Tesla coil technology or Tesla technology in certain ways, like what Nikola Tesla was working on, because there's actually intersecting underground rivers, at least 3 of them under almost every single pyramid. So, I think it's pretty obvious that at one time, at least, these were used for some sort of free energy devices, which may have had, many different uses besides just free energy. I know that Bosnian pyramids have been known to have all these different health benefits as well. So I think it sounds like a major endeavor, but if we actually came together as sort of like a global humanity service project and started coming together to maybe restore the pyramids back to their original use, that would actually bring us to become a type 1 civilization, which I'm going to get into towards the end of this. But if we were able to utilize the energy of our planet in a way that was not harmful to the planet, that would bring us to a type 1 civilization, which we're not at yet. And that is, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I am so into this. I think this is one of my 5 main focuses too. It was an energy grid. I've been to Chichen Itza, I've been to Machu Picchu, I haven't been to the pyramids yet. I was supposed to go the last couple of years and I haven't made it yet. And to Stonehenge. And those were energy systems. When we look at the grid of all of them, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is what I'm fascinated by too, other than the sharing of sources, which is part of sustainability, because this is really a sustainable thread. I did the first net zero home in Boulder that took me 4 years with some clients. It was the first net zero home. We did everything perfectly. And I'm just saying, I'm so excited by this. I think we do need to really get some funding and do more research. I was told by several different people over the last 20 years that one of my lifetimes was an architect on the Egyptian pyramids. And of course, there were many,
I can see that.
many architects. And I have images literally of my dreams for a long, like lifetime, zooming through the bottom of them. So anyway, it is definitely, it's all about energy. They already did it. They're still being used as that. And this needs to be researched in a very smart, simple, and scientific way to wake people up to band together to work on this. So anyway, I wholeheartedly agree. I have my goosebumps all over me. From the lab.
It's so exciting, right? And it's like they're right there. They're already
right
here
there, and we're looking at it. I mean,
them.
duh. And my son does forestry at the Presidio Trust, and he's been like, for your last concept of sharing, I've set up so many share things within private schools and mostly the public schools here, with the homeless, with the vets. He goes to 4 or 5 different communities, Point Reyes down to the Tenderloin, sort of the sketchy part of San Francisco, for the last 5-6 years. He's won an awards, doing gardens, planting trees, teaching people at the Presidio Trust. People go every Friday and he teaches people how to plant and explains to them what the past, present, and future is of sustainability of the trees of our beautiful golden, I live in San Francisco. So anyway, these are exactly, I know that's why we connected, because what you're talking about here is the blueprint, the new blueprint for future. It is just, anyway, I'm so excited. I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just think makes total sense. This is what turns me on, and we should be focusing on. Remember, I just pulled this up. Remember when we spoke, when I was on your show before, we were talking about all these different space habitats, because this is what matters, is our present and future. How do we move forward? How do we band together and open people's minds up to connecting the dots in a few of these ways too, as primary research?
I'm curious to know, how do you think the global energy grid worked before? I mean, do you think that every single every kind of civilization around the planet kind of use the pyramid to power their own like
Yes.
sort of communities, and it was
Yes.
all like a global
It was
network.
one global, and it was also because I can read ley lines. I can read through. Yes, yes, it was. I have pictures of it on many different, a few different presentations, but mostly it is total one big grid. It all makes complete sense. It's almost like to the latitude and longitude of where they were placed. Unbelievable. And that's why after I went to Machu Picchu years ago with a healing group with Kenny Loggins in a group, I took my kids back and we did a sort of a cheaper, not a month trip there to really dig into what the materials were and how they used all the crystals, and they used it's total energy systems, and it's still being used today. And a lot of the ones that I really want to start researching too is the ones underwater. My dad passed several years ago, and I've been talking to him a lot. And he said that a lot of the bases are underwater now, as we know. But I totally agree with you. It is one big grid of energy and connected by the minerals, the materials that they used, and then the ley lines underneath. Like it's all pretty much all the same, and that's why they went to those locations.
You know, when you fly over them, like I flew over the pyramids on a plane before. I went to Egypt, I think like 5 years ago, and it looks like a circuit board from above. I mean, all these locations, you can compare them to circuit boards, and it's the exact same thing. It's really fascinating.
I have like 1,000 pictures on my phone from presentations and when I watch TV, the History Channel or Ancient Aliens, because I'm obsessed by this too. I always, my dad and I used to talk about this when we were little. He and mom went to the pyramids in 1951, the year of my birth. And I've been asking him questions, and I really, we should go back and start finding people to put some of these things together. But yes, I absolutely agree. And that's why I had to interrupt this beautiful talk, because it is absolutely, this is what I care about, what you're talking about here. And this is huge, huge.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And you know, I really feel that, you know, we need to come together and take advantage of this, because if we become a type 1 civilization, which I have that at the end of the presentation, maybe I should kind of skip over to it more. But if we become a type 1 civilization, we're going to be on a whole different level. And, you know, it's really going to be a free energy planet if we're able to get to that level. And, you know, one thing I want to say here that I haven't really, I'm trying to understand is what exactly they were powering with these, because, you know, did they have a different kind of tech? Like, you know, right now we have light bulbs and, you know, electricity, but did they power things in a completely different way back then than we are thinking of now? That's something that I like to think about.
Yeah, and I mean,
theorize
some of it's
on.
known and some of it isn't, but we'll talk to my father up there and find out more information, because he was at Area 51 in 1951 with Werner von Braun too, looking at materials at Roswell. I mean, out in the desert. So anyway, but anyway, I think there's definitely, I'll have you back and we'll talk about this more. And I know I'm going to come back onto your show too, but I think this is
Definitely.
huge, really important piece to put a few of these layers together, but particularly this. I'm a huge believer of this for my whole life.
Definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna maybe just skip around a little more, so that we can get to connect all this. But I will say that, you know, community service projects and holistic healthcare is a major solution key to humanity. Oh, okay. I accidentally skipped to the end here. So let's okay. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So with the environment, I think there's a lot of different solutions that we have, especially in regards to single-use plastics. Like, I don't understand why we're still using single-use plastics. Like, why aren't we using biodegradable materials for all these single-use plastics, such as, like, you know, hemp can be used for all of these. And hemp is grown across the entire country. It would be a major cash crop for the United States. So I think that is something that just just one small thing for the environment is like, why don't all these single-use plastic companies start working with hemp farms and creating these sort of single-use products out of hemp instead of plastic? Um,
I
and
agree.
then and then there, I feel that there's a lot of ways that we can come together to create or design different things to help our environment. And I think a lot of people are just writing it off like, oh, we already destroyed our planet, that's it, we're done. And there's actually, I think there's a lot of solutions that we have here, things that we can work together and come up with. And one of these, I think this is so fascinating. This is an ocean cleanup project, and I think this is so fascinating because I believe it was designed or originally created by a 16-year-old kid. And basically what this project does or did was it basically cleans up entire the huge islands of trash in the middle of the ocean. It has this sort of way, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but it basically eliminates those entire trash fields in the middle of the ocean. And that was invented by a 16-year-old kid. So imagine if just this one kid could come up with this and is already utilizing it. Imagine what other options we may have that we can just come together and work on. So I think that's a really inspirational story there. And the Venus Project, so this is something that I've always got into with my presentations. And I do always like to do a little disclaimer. I'm not sure how I feel about some aspects of it, but I love the circular community design aspects of it. So basically the Venus Project was designed by Jacques Fresco. And I'm just going to kind of briefly go through these designs here, but I love how he invented this sort of circular community or these circular community based like cities. And okay, so here's a larger image of it. So basically, normally I'm like pointing, I'm able to point, so it's kind of hard here, but I guess I'll just explain. So the center would be like the education area where, so first they would build the center, and that would be where at the center of the circle here, and that's where people would be educated on how to build out the entire city. So that would be the first part that's built. And then the inner ring here, those are sort of more like apartment buildings. And so this entire community is self-sustaining. So the outer rings, it's all incorporated with parks and gardens, and then the outer rings have hydroponic grow systems and hydroponic gardens going all the way out. And then the further you go out, you can see there are more like self-sustaining homes. And I love this because it basically, just looking at the infrastructure of it, right now when we go out to like run errands and go around our communities, we're going in all different directions and wasting so much energy. But if you're in a circular community, you just go out and you go in a circle and come right back where you started. So I think that's really incredible. And with these kind of designs, you can choose to either live in a more apartment community area if that's what you prefer, or you can live more towards the outer rings to these homes, and they're all kind of connected to this self-sustaining energy grid. And all these communities would basically be able to sustain themselves in regards to food, because they would all be have these hydroponic grow areas on the outer rings. And I love how it has the nature incorporated throughout the entire design. So like just walking around the community, you're able to like go to these different parks and gardens, like just kind of going about your day. And I think that's really beautiful and amazing.
Can I just make one comment too about the circular? When
Yeah.
I was in architecture school 30 years ago, I designed for my end of my first year, I was doing low income senior housing and co-housing, which is what the concept of this is really. It's just all interrelated and sustainable. And my house that I designed rotated with the sun. It was all round. It was on 1 acre. It had gardens. They said, how can you put that's so crazy? And I said, someday when I'm older and old, which I am, they will come up with this. But anyway, it was unbelievable because round is also you know, you can see how I live here. I mean, this is basically as round as I could get in a facility. But to have, it's all about, the base is all sustainability, that it's all connected, right? The water, the co-housing, the community is all working together towards a healthier, happier environment, which is what I've been saying for 50 years. And then when I went to Presidio, the executive program of Presidio Graduate School here in San Francisco, that's said to be the #1 sustainable mass program in the world. One of the guys was the Geyer. He was 10 years ago, and he was inventing how to get rid of those massive plastics in the world. And then maybe that young kid was doing it at the same time, because that's how things happen. But that was, I think I was there 12 years ago. But, and we were all, it was all solutions. The 14 of us were all coming up with different solutions for habitats, the past, present, future, but all in a sustainable way. And where are they now? I actually worked on, I love the Venus Project, and I worked on One Earth for a couple of years for ideas on their sustainable project. There's one in the United States, there's one in London. They started there about 15 years ago, and they're hopefully going to build 5 or 6 more. But anyway, this is the absolute concept of the future. So we've got to move in this direction. You know, developments in communities, and that's what we're going to be doing off planet. We're going to be doing on planet as well. Smart, sustainable environments for everybody. Big, small, co-housing, common areas. People get involved in, you know, like Habitat for Humanity. People can help be involved in what the spaces are, what they can afford. There's schooling on it. I mean, this One Earth is the same concept of this. It's one big pod of smart, sustainable living.
I'll have to look into One Earth. I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, I'll send it to you. Yeah, it's incredible. It's not as advanced as this. This is the most advanced, but it's the same concept that they've been doing for about 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, you know, what's incredible, you were just saying, you know, they've been doing this for a while now, 15, 20 years. And it's like almost every single time I give this presentation, or basically every time I give this presentation, people always say, it's over half the people in the audience will tell me that they've never seen this before.
No,
And they've never heard of it before. Over half the people, almost all the people in the audience almost always tell me this.
well,
And
it's crazy. And also my dad, we talked about, he met Bucky Fuller, who is one of my idols from a million years ago. Duh. Frank Lloyd Wright grew up, you know, I grew up outside Chicago, and my grandfather, who was an architect and a design builder and had a lumber company, why he standardized 2x4s was he hated the waste of wood. He was actually the one. And so I grew up with sustainability too. And your interest is big in that. And that's, I grew up with, you know, earth space and outer space. It's all about sustainable practices, bringing people together, getting into a mindset of not just discarding, but smart, simple, clean design that is made out of natural materials. A lot of our cancer, I worked on 3 cancer hospitals. We know a lot of it is disease, well, from junk we eat, the toxic environmental, from lead-based paint to bad. I have everything in here is all natural materials. And that's what I've done on the side for forever, for 50 years of design. But anyway, this is so beautiful. This is the Venus Project, is my all-time favorite. It's brilliant.
definitely, you know, it's really so incredible. And you know, it's, people always ask me, well, how do we just start building these? Like, who's gonna start building them? Like, how are we gonna, like, what do? We just start taking down the cities and then rebuilding them like this? Like, how is that gonna work? And, you know, I just say, like, why don't we just go, like, buy up areas, or, like, you know, people can come together to buy up areas of land and, you know, just start working on this together. We don't have to, like, start tearing down cities and rebuilding. We can just start building these areas. And I'm sure, like, once these communities start being built, people are going to prefer to go to them instead of staying in the cities that we're all in now, you know? So I feel it's not really as hard as, like, people are making it out to be, but really what it is it's everyone coming together and working together.
It's community spirit. I've been looking for properties. I've been talking about this for 25 or 30 years. I've talked to my grandfather about it. I talked to dad about it before he passed. We're going to have to come to that point. People don't wake up until until they really can't anymore. I tried doing a property. We had a 20-acre piece of property, and I said, let's just put tiny homes on them. Let's start somewhere. Let's start somewhere. And, you know, land is so expensive, but there are areas with water. I've been looking with a friend to look for to create a new healing center. And, you know, we looked at Arizona, and I said, there's no water there. You had has to have water. It's got to be like north, you know, different parts. It has to have all the things. People need clean air. People need clean water. People have to be able to grow their food. I mean, I've had gardens my whole life. My son has one in his backyard a few blocks from here. He eats everything out of his garden. So I
That's
think
incredible.
this is what's next, but this is what I still have goosebumps because this is yet another, we are really on the same page. And I love that you're giving
Love
these
that.
talks to help wake people up.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I get so excited talking to
Sorry,
you.
I'm
It's so
sorry.
great.
Sorry, I keep interrupting.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, no, please interrupt. And I'll just briefly go through with the Venus Project different ways that free energy can power these communities is solar energy, wind energy, tidal, wave power, geothermal, thorium, ocean thermal energy conversion, hydroelectric energy, underwater turbines, and yep, that's it. So, and then these are just kind of some visual examples. I really like this airport here because, instead of the airport like taking the runways taking up all this land, all the runways kind of come together in a circle and circle around into the airport. And I think that's really incredible. And so different ways that this community can be built is through automated construction systems, automated cranes, laser excavators. So I think this one is very interesting because as you can see, this excavator is huge. It's like the size of a canal. You can see like a small person kind of standing next to the bottom of it there to give you a size reference. But I think that this vehicle would be really incredible because basically it can laser excavate a canal like instantly. So we could actually with this use it to really like we could possibly use it to re-terraform the planet, because if we are able to make canals from the desert or the ocean into the middle of the desert, or create like new rivers and streams and things like that through this technology, then we may be able to re-terraform the planet, kind of like the aspect of Dune or the series Dune. That's a series that I've always been very into, and I think that the movie of a lot of people have just seen the movie and they don't really realize the main kind of concept from the series Dune, which you don't really see in the movie, is kind of this aspect of being able to re-terraform the planet and turn Arrakis into a more self-sustaining, more like green planet. A lot of people don't realize that, but that's actually the main reason why Frank Herbert, the writer, created Dune, was because he was working on the one as a journalist, up towards San Francisco, and the sand dunes kept blowing over the roadways. And so he was a journalist for this project where all these people were trying to figure out how to keep the sand from blowing over the roadways from the dunes. And they started planting like shrubbery over the dunes, and it kind of kept the sand from, blocking the roads. And that's actually what inspired him to create the entire Dune series. But I think the idea of being able to re-terraform our planet, take different areas of the planet that are, less green and turn them into a more green area, or, like a large parts of Africa are, very dead environment. And if we could turn those environments more into green environments again, I think that'd be really incredible. And that would be a kind of testing phase, because if we're able to work on that here and change things here, then maybe we can take those concepts to Mars or other planets nearby and figure out how to re-terraform those planets and make them, even change. I know that they've even looked into ways of being able to change the atmosphere in Mars to where it's actually capable of, having, raining and having water and, having like an ecosystem again. So I think, that's just a very interesting concept itself. And so with the building designs, also industrial robots would help build it. And then I really like these water community
Mm.
designs. There's so many of them that aren't just the Venus Project. Like I have other ones here. You know, some of these are from other companies, but I love these like water community designs. I love the idea of being able to, in the bottom left-hand corner here, I have one, but the idea of being able to create communities that are like, you know, on the surface of the water, under the water, instead of just on the land is really interesting to me. And you know, just briefly going through these, some other designs, which I'm sure you know a lot about, Mary, are earthships, which are, you know, basically self-sustaining homes. And I've always wanted to create one of these myself. And then vertical gardens, I
Oh,
think this is something that is really important to, you know, a way that we can move forward, which I don't understand why we're not doing this on every building already. We could be doing this on like every major skyscraper, like in downtown LA over here where I'm living. You know, like so basically a vertical garden is like a garden kind of stacked up and is all hydroponic grow systems throughout the entire building. But I think a lot of people don't realize that with vertical gardens, it doesn't have to just be a garden building. Like you can still have office spaces and things like that through the insides of the buildings. And so, you know, what's really amazing about this design or this idea is that you know, like buildings like skyscrapers that we have in cities that have like hospitals or office buildings, we could actually be growing our own food around the outsides of the buildings with these hydroponic vertical gardens, and then harvesting them every day and basically being able to feed everyone in the building and in the cafeteria every day with like fresh organic food. So I think this is really incredible, and I think it's a design that could be implemented really into like every building. And so there's an idea of what that would look like there. But you know, that's just kind of like an artsy concept, I guess. But I
oh,
think that every building could be looking like this, and also it'd be great for oxygen, obviously, like it'd probably be much better for breathing. So
right. We have a lot of rooftop gardens. I mean, I worked at Topher Delaney. I worked on 3 hospitals with her, and we had rooftop gardens 10, 12 years ago. She's done them all over the place. And of course, they're like on the top of Salesforce, they have bees, you know, a lot of, because we're in California and we're innovative here a lot more than some places are, right? There are a lot of
right.
innovative places around the world. We have the weather and we have some of the money to be able to afford it. But of course, a lot of these are big budget items and people haven't figured out how to do it. But we have a lot of these beautiful vertical gardens, and they have them in a lot of high-end homes around me. It's so smart. It's so beautiful. Even in a small place like here, I have my little patio out here, and I have herbs and tomatoes, and you know, people can do that
Oh, that's
anywhere, right? But look how beautiful that is. That just is exceptional, smart, and beautiful.
yeah, I think this is actually in Singapore.
That is,
Right.
I know that one. That is in Singapore.
Have you been to Singapore yet?
Oh, I went there once with mom and dad when we were on our way to uh uh where were we going? Africa. We went a couple different funny ways to get to Africa, and we stopped in Singapore for 2 weeks in
Wow.
1975. And I said, "Why? Where are all your homeless here?" And even back then, they said the homeless. We had a guide. We had a personal guide that was taking us around. He said, "Well, the homeless people. Well, we put the homeless people do not let." And this is in 75 or 76. He said, "We've been doing this for years." He said, "We take the minute we see somebody homeless on the street, they go to like, you know, Catalina Island, say where you live, or Alcatraz here, it's like a peninsula. And they put them through training. They teach them how to get a job. They do not leave until they are clothed, till they are helped, till they go through the mental health problem issues. Because I've worked with
Wow.
homelessness out of the White House, and for 35 years, I've always been obsessed by homelessness and the veterans that the mental health facilities, but they never, to this day, they do not allow. You get fined. Back then, it was like $50 if they found you throwing a piece of gum on the sidewalk. And this was in 75, so that was the only time I was in Singapore for like 10 days, and it was unbelievable. And they had this smart. they've always been way ahead. Obviously, that's why I'm bringing this up, because here they have homeless buildings, and it's all about sort of rehab and feeding them, getting them clothed well, teaching them how to go get a job. And that's why they have continued. I mean, I haven't been there and I haven't thought about it for years, but they were a real role model. They've always been way ahead in architecture and design and community spirit, like the Thai people. You know, I've been to China maybe 50 times. I worked there a lot. There's so many more sustainable countries that have been doing this for a lot longer than the United States. And it's really sad that we haven't, you know, put our money into even the infrastructure here. I worked with Mercy Housing for on and off for 10 years for vets, for all of Northern California, for vets and homelessness, with my friend Tim Murray, that's on the California board. And we were trying to come up with areas to do stuff like this too. And it was build into the contract, build into the town, build into the city. I said, you know, go buy an old dilapidated hotel building and revamp it. This was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And they said, too expensive. We don't have the money. It's all locked in with the city. So things will change. You know, you start with one good one. You'd start with one good one. And that, I mean, are you know, connect with Habitat for Humanity or somebody that's already in the construction business who believes in the sustainable values, that has, you know, and then you get some wealthy people who believe in it, to do one sample, and then you go from that, like what Venus is and what One Earth was, or whatever it was called. I haven't thought about it but you know, this is the future. And I think this is really important to talk about. And I love that you talk about it, that we're talking about it now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. You know, I really, that's a major aspect of my presentation, which I kind of skipped over earlier, is our homeless integration programs. You know, a lot of people, I feel like, don't realize that one of the main reasons for this issue is mental health. And you know, I didn't hear about that with Singapore, so I'll have to look into that more. I think that's really interesting. I haven't been to Singapore yet, but the designs that I'm seeing there, I mean, it seems so far beyond where we're at here, and I think we should bring it up a level, you know. And you know, downtown LA, the homelessness problem is so bad. It's really sad, and you know, something definitely needs to be done about it.
Well, if Mercy Housing is one of the companies that has Mercy Housing, and I know the head of it. She was a nun, and she started Mercy Housing, and now they're all over the country. And they do more rehab, they do more building for homelessness. They have, I got invited to a new facility in Sacramento a couple of weeks ago. I didn't have time to go, and because they are doing a lot. We have done 6 here in San Francisco, done a few down in LA. Tim's been in charge of helping facilitate that. It take 5 or 10 years. It's really political. It's so expensive. And then they're contracted, and even down to the unions. I mean, it's just, I sat in a lot of those meetings for years, even with National Alliance to End Homelessness, who was started by Susan Baker, who was Jimmy Baker's wife when they were in the White House, you know, 30 years ago. I went up and introduced myself in DC at one of the first National Alliance to End Homelessness conferences that I went to. And I said, do you want to come to San Francisco? You're amazing. I'll get you a speaking event at Gladstone Institute here. She said, yeah. And a month later, she was here, and I introduced her to a bunch of people, and we tried to do some more things here. So, you know, it's just the activism that you're talking about that I've been involved with forever, that people need to, if they want to wake up, get involved in your community. You know, I was feeding my kids, and I were feeding the homeless when they were 4 and 5 years old down in the Tenderloin here. I was giving them money. Glide Memorial here, I was giving them money 40 years ago. So we just have to, you know, and the schools are really doing a lot of this now. The next generation's doing pretty well with this, but I think getting this into the school system too, it will just even be, you know,
I think that's so important with kids, like growing up doing charity projects. You know, I was in youth group all growing up, and I mean, basically every Sunday I was out doing some sort of community service projects, and I think that's so important. Right now, a project I've been working with here in LA, if anyone's watching that's interested in getting involved in something in LA, is Disclosure Fest. The disclosurefest.org. It's really interesting because it's actually kind of about like, you know, conferences that have to do with UFO stuff and everything. But then on the side, it's also a community service project, and all the funds for it goes into these different projects or initiatives here in LA. One of them is Feed Our Souls initiative, and that's where we go down to like downtown LA and help feed the homeless and do like, you know, projects down in that area. And then we have the Starseed initiative where we go to schools in impoverished neighborhoods or communities and kind of work with the children there. And then there's like elder initiatives and tree planting initiatives and so on. So, you know, it's definitely important to get involved and give back as much as you can in your communities.
Right. And did you say Disclosure Press, PRESS? I couldn't hear what you said.
Disclosurefest.org.
Oh, Fest, Fest,
Yeah. Yes.
disclosurefest.org. Oh my God, that sounds unbelievable. I mean, and the UFO community is involved in that too?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would love to
Oh.
introduce you to the organizer of that. You should definitely be speaking at his events.
I would love to. We should speak together. You can have the, you know, a lot of it, and I'd love to come in too. Are you going to be
Oh,
a
that'd be great.
contact in the desert?
I definitely plan on going out. I don't think I'll be speaking at that one, but I go to Contact in the Desert every year. So
Well, I'm going to be there, so let's connect. And I think
I'll be at the Conscious Life Expo as well. So
I'm going to be at, that's what I meant, Conscious Life Expo, and I'm going to be, I just signed up for Contact in the Desert too.
awesome.
But anyway, I mean, we have only a few more minutes. I'm sorry I started talking for all of this. You are unbelievable. This is the most important overview. These are the things I'm passionate about too. And I would love to, I wonder if there's a Disclosure Press in San Francisco.
There's actually the next one. They usually do about one a year. That's like really major. And the next one, I just got invited to speak and possibly host for it, and that one's going to be in Vegas in November. So I'll send you that one.
I'll come.
Yeah, it's going to be a major one too. But he might set up some other ones in the meantime, but I would definitely love to connect you with the organizer. It's really great.
Oh, wonderful. Well, this is such an inspiration. How can people contact you if they'd like to?
Well, you can go to my website, apollohysteria.com, and I have a contact section there. If you would like to check out my art, that is over at shamanspears.com. And then I also have my YouTube channel, Apollo's Odyssey, so you can see behind me. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of conferences coming up here, and also all this material that I just talked about. I'm turning all this my presentation material into a book. I hope to have it out this year. And Mary, I definitely want to talk to you about a lot of different you know, designs and things like this, because you're just, you know, everything you talk about, I feel like we're just like right up each other's alley with everything. So we definitely need to connect more on all of this. I think it'd be really great.
Oh, I'd love to. Well, you are such a bright light. You are such an inspiration. I'm so excited now. We're gonna make a plan.
Let's do it.
And for all of you out there, please connect with Apollo. She is one of the youngest, brightest, smartest stars on the planet right now. We're going to be watching her evolve and grow and inspire people, young and old, for a long time. And thank you so much for being here. I love you, Apollo. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and your creativity. I mean, it's just, you're an artist, you're an actress. Hold up one of your spears again and talk for 1 minute before we get off, because these are insanely cool. I've seen them in person. Really energetic.
So basically these are for channeling energy. I call them shaman spears. They're on shamanspears.com. But so I make them out of bamboo. The staff here is bamboo. I picked the bamboo myself, and since the bamboo is hollow, I fill it with copper coils, crystals, magnets, and sand I collect from sacred places around the world. This spear has organite in, so this is organite here on this end, and then organite here. Some of them have crystals on each end, but basically they're art and technology. They're used for amplifying energy. My favorite thing to do with them, actually, you know, I kind of sell them for people that like to do energy work, but really my favorite thing to do with them is going hiking with them. Every time I go on a hike or climb a mountain, I always have one in my hand. I love it so much. I also paint crop circles on them because I feel like in a way it like amplifies the message that these ETs are trying to give us. So I don't know. I guess I've just been working with them on that and painting the crop circles designs on my spears. You can't really see super well in here, but yeah, so I just came out with my latest collection and I just started putting them up online yesterday. I'm putting up the rest today and I'm really excited about it because I've been working on this collection for almost a year now. It's been a lot of work.
They're so beautiful, and the energy, I can literally, I swear I can feel it through this. I mean, and in person, show them what the point of it looks like. Put it really close so they can really see the intricacy, because it's all about sacred geometry and it's all about sustainability, and everything is energy, right? Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually organite I made myself. So I layered crystals and metals in this myself, and that's kind of for the use of piezoelectric energy. So yeah, I just started working with organite. I've been making these for about 7 years now. I probably made hundreds, maybe even 1,000 at this point, but I just started working with organite in the past couple years. So I'm really excited about taking them to another level with that.
Well, also, I want to do we're going to figure out a development that'll be a goal for 5 or 10 years. And those are going to be columns when you walk into a house for feng shui. Those
Yes.
columns, like what my grandmother had these. She was, I'm going to turn this around, but wrong way. So I can't see it. Can't show you. This, like these energy lamps. I mean, was for my grandmother's that she bought in like 1920. And the energy, it literally, that comes off of this, and I've been wanting to decorate it my whole life, but can't you see your columns? I mean, these have to go in a movie. You were in the Star Trek movie.
Yeah, Star Trek Picard.
Well, why they need that in there. But those can be members in homes. When you walk into the entry, you obviously need, everyone needs clear energy in their entry, right?
Yeah.
And ones even for bedrooms. I mean, you can anyway, there's so many uses for those that
I love organite playing around with them.
Where did you get that from?
Well, I've been creating them myself. I mean, basically it's a way of layering metals and crystals together, and then you do it in a mold, and then you mix the different parts of resin together into the mold. So yeah, I actually made all the organite myself. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. But I've actually been looking into making like entire organite swords with crystals. So I think that would be really interesting. But I was also working on a coffee table. I want to get a coffee table design out, but I haven't thought about pillars. I really like that idea a lot.
Pillars. Well, even because what they could do, it could be a frame. It could be just energy that you could walk around, because the whole circular thing, right? It's got. So anyway, for any custom work, get in touch with Paula too. She's available.
I can do it.
Anyway, well, what a delight this has been. Oh, I think you have to undo your save when we get off, but thank you so much. I love you. I'm so inspired by you, Apollo. There you are. Thank you so much for all your good vibes. You are just an energy boost. You are one of your spears. You are a big light on this planet. So I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. And I'm so glad we met last summer and connected.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, I guess I'll be seeing you in a week here at the Conscious Life Expo. So I'm really excited about that. Thank you so much for having me on here. I really love talking with you about all this, because I know you get it and you're into all this. And, I love all the work that you've done in these areas with sustainability. So really incredible. I hope to have you on my show again soon as well.
Oh, I look forward to it. Well, lots of love. Have a good rest of the day. And thanks again for being such a great inspiration today.
Thank you so much.